Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. If you're looking forward to my top 10 favorite movie and TV characters, you're going to have to wait till Thursday for part one of that because something happened over the weekend that I just need to talk about and need to go into greater detail about everything that happened. So, you know, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Started out watching WWF back in the early 80s. Grew up with it the whole time. Uh, Discovered more professional wrestling from there on out, but always was firmly into the WWF, soon to be WWE, until very recently. Well, this past Friday, longtime WWE chairman, CEO Vince McMahon announced over Twitter that he would be retiring at the age of 77 years old. Now, I've seen a couple of people a little confused by this. He's currently 76 years old, but he'll be turning 77 next month. His birthday usually falls around SummerSlam time, but they're doing SummerSlam this coming Saturday, as of the filming of this video. But after so many years when he initially purchased the Worldwide Wrestling Federation from his father, Vince McMahon Sr., he would take the WWF, take it global, just take it from that territorial thing that it was back in the early 80s. And he just kind of strong-armed a lot of territorial companies into either selling or just putting them completely out of business. The only one that was still around was the NWA. And eventually, Jim Crockett Promotions would sell to Ted Turner. Ted Turner rebranding that as WCW. The rest is history. You've heard me talk about the Monday Night Wars in the past. So, but what does this mean for the WWE now that Vince McMahon is retiring? Well, a lot of people have been speculating, so let's talk about what I think is going to happen from here on out in a Vince McMahon-less WWE. So right off the bat, I can tell you, do not expect any major changes for the foreseeable future. If there's going to be changes, they're not going to be sudden because there are still storylines in play that Vince McMahon has set up. Yes, he's no longer head of creative either, but you also have to remember that his right-hand man, Bruce Pritchard, and his other right-hand man, Kevin Dunn, still hold some influence. And I'm going to talk about Kevin Dunn in a little bit. But that's neither here nor there right now. So there are still storylines in place that are Vince McMahon's ideas. Like one of his last decisions when he was in charge of WWE is taking off the former LA Knight Eli Drake, he's got so many names, Max Dupree off of SmackDown, replacing him with his storyline sister, Maxine. Now, what will this mean for Max Dupree, though? Will he be coming back? Because a lot of people, apparently he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way from what I am hearing from reports, but they could take the time, repackage him, bring him back as LA Knight. You never know. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, do not expect any major changes anytime soon. There was a report a couple weeks ago saying that WWE would be going back to TV 14 this past week of Monday Night Raw. That never happened, like I said it wouldn't. But with Vince McMahon out and Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan as co-CEOs, will that bring in TV 14 again somewhere down the line? Maybe. And I want to stress this. Maybe. Even with Vince McMahon gone, he is still majority shareholder in the WWE. But not only that, they still have other shareholders to appease. They have sponsors to appease. So don't expect TV 14, I don't think anytime this year. So for those of you holding out hope saying, oh, TV 14, that will change all of WWE's ills. No, it won't. Because they're still going to have the same crappy writers in place. They're still going to have the same storylines. That is not going to change for a long, long time. Now this is what I think should happen. So you have SummerSlam coming up. Keep all of those in play. We can kind of call this a booking video, I guess, if you really want to. But we still have everything in play for SummerSlam. Everything plays out as normal. Raw, SmackDown, SummerSlam. That all goes down. That all happens. Monday Night Raw rolls around for next week, the after SummerSlam show. Now, you have to remember one thing with the WWE. They have an extensive video library at their disposal anytime. I mean, hell, they even have their own network. It may be on Peacock Network, but they still have their own network. So what happens is you have Stephanie and Triple H start this episode of Monday Night Raw from the studios in Stamford, Connecticut. And they come out and say, you know, everything that happened over the past couple weeks with my father, Vince McMahon, retiring from his role as CEO and chairman of the WWE, but he's also stepped down as head of creative. So what we're going to do at this time is the WWE on that side, we are going to go into a total shutdown for live events. For the next month, 2 months, we're going to shut everything down. We won't be touring. We won't be producing any shows for SmackDown, Raw, or NXT. But what we're going to do in its place is, for the next few months, we are going to have best of episodes of Raw. Starting tonight, we're going to show you the very first, the three, actually, if we're going through it, since Raw is 3 hours right now, which I'll touch on in a second here. We're going to show you the first 3 episodes of Monday Night Raw. Then we're going to show you the very first episode of NXT as it is now, not before when it took over for the WWE CW. We're going to show you that. And then on Friday night on SmackDown over on Fox, we're going to show you the very first episode of SmackDown as well. And then we're just going to do best of episodes for the next 2 months or so. While we're in that shutdown phase, we are going to have our creative team gather to pitch new ideas, new everything, new characters, new superstars. We are going to do what my father never did, and we are going to listen to our fans during this time as well. And when we come back out on the road in September, October, whenever that is, we are going to continue listening to our fans, something my father never did. He never listened to the fans when, say, Miro or Rusev was getting over with his Rusev Day gimmick. We never capitalized on that when we should have. And yeah, if a character flops, sure, we'll take it back to the drawing board, but we are going to listen to you, the fans, overall. So enjoy these next few weeks, the best of Raw, the best of NXT, the best of SmackDown, and we will see you out on the road again very, very soon. And then you go into the first episode of Monday Night Raw. Like I said, for that one, you do the first 3 episodes because they were an hour long each. And then it's just best ofs from that point on. Now, going back to Raw, I think what would help it out right now would not be just a complete overhaul of the writing staff, but it would be to bring it back to 2 hours. So I think it's safe to say that the 3rd hour of Monday Night Raw is a ratings black hole. It just sucks everything down. And by that point, you are already pretty tired from the previous 2 hours, and you really want to continue watching a 3rd hour of Raw. No, I know you don't. I don't. So right off the bat, one of the first big changes we make is we cut Raw by an hour. If you still have to have that 3rd hour, I don't know. Do a best of or whatever. Make like a studio show where it's like Raw Talk on the network, but people get burned out after a continuous amount of TV time, and we're struggling even after 2.5 hours. So, or even before 2.5 hours, I should say. So yeah, get rid of the 3rd hour of Raw, leave it 2 hours, have it 2 hours. It's a perfect length. I mean, if AEW can do it with 1 hour on Rampage, 2 hours isn't all that bad, honestly and truthfully. And they do it well with Dynamite as well. So yeah, that's one of the first things we do. Take Raw from 3 hours to 2 hours, make best of Raw like the 3rd hour, or Raw Talk for that 3rd hour on USA. But whatever, just bring it down to 2. We get new writers who know what they're talking about, what they're writing about. Like, if he wasn't working for AEW, I'd suggest Jake the Snake Roberts. But if we're insistent on having writers, bring in all new writers who know a thing or two about professional wrestling. Not the Hollywood scriptwriters who have never watched a wrestling show in their life. Oh, what are your credentials? Oh, I've written for 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, The Office. I've written for these shows. Oh, and who was WWF champion in 1988? I never watch wrestling. I hate wrestling. Then why are you watching a friggin' wrestling show? They had a writer during the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic, but during the Thunderdome, who couldn't even tell you that Bobby Lashley was the WWE champion. Oh, I don't know who the WWE I think his name is Bobby Ashley. This is what really pisses me off about the WWE product. You have people writing who don't know a damn thing about professional wrestling, and that just bugs the ever-loving crap out of me. Get people who know wrestling, even if it's just a passing knowledge. Get Freddie Prinze Jr. back on as a writer. He is a wrestling fan. If you can't get old wrestlers, retired wrestlers, let's not say old, if you can't get retired wrestlers, get people who know a thing or two about wrestling. Get someone who considers themselves a fan. I can tell you right now, if you had Freddie Prinze Jr., Adam Blampier, and myself, we could write a better product than what the writers are writing in the WWE right now. That's a lot of rights, and all of it wrong. But either way, get somebody who knows a thing or two about professional wrestling. And then you will see a dramatic turnaround with all the storylines. You don't have to make it TV 14. You can keep it TV PG and write a compelling story at the same time. It's like I said before, TV 14 is not going to solve all of WWE's ills. The first WWE ill that's killing it has retired as of Friday. So you get new writers, you get new stories, you get new storylines, you get new characters. It's a building process. It just doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. The next big thing you get rid of Kevin Dunn. So while I came out on Friday and in my breaking news video about Vince McMahon retiring, I came out and said that I would take the high road when it came to Vince McMahon retiring and just thank him. When it is announced that Kevin Dunn has left the WWE, I am going to run out in the streets cheering. I might even tear my clothes off. I don't know, because that man is a menace to the WWE, and he needs to be gone. He needs to be fired. He's got enough, WWE stock that he could sell it all off, live like a millionaire, live like a prince in Bora Bora for the rest of his life, and never, ever touch a single wrestling promotion again in its lifespan. With all the unnecessary crash zooms and shaky cam that he does, and I drop my light. Thanks, Dunn. You get your finger off the switch, Dunn. As Triple H's old theme song said. Yeah, there is legitimate heat between Triple H and Kevin Dunn, and because the man is just terrible at what he does. And if you've seen recently over the weekend, a report came out saying that he didn't think Becky Lynch was attractive enough to be a WWE superstar. Give your head a shake, you ignorant so-and-so. Becky Lynch, Becky Lynch's looks should not determine whether she is a good wrestler or not, or a good sports entertainer or superstar. That's another thing I hope they do. I hope they start changing some vernacular around there. I'll get that in a second. But Becky Lynch is an amazing athlete. Looks be damned. And honestly, she's also a pretty good looking woman too. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It also feels weird. Well, I was going to say it feels weird to call another man's wife good looking, but I mean, I'm going to just come out and say it. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, that's a sexy couple. They might not have had any chemistry on TV, but they're still a sexy looking couple together. And, the two of them made a pretty cute daughter. So, but yeah, Dunn should be done, and just terminate his contract, buy out the rest of his stock, let him live like a king somewhere else away from professional wrestling. Another thing I hope changes with Vince McMahon stepping away is that the list of banned terms goes away forever. Like the burnt terms like wrestler, title shot, belt. I hope that is torn up and Triple H just comes out and says, say whatever you want. If you want to call yourselves superstars, go for it. If you want to call yourself professional wrestlers, go for it. If you want to call it professional wrestling, do it. It's what we do. You know, we're not sports entertainers. We're professional wrestlers. Don't know why I air quoted that one, but whatever. So, yeah, just a little more of what Cody Rhodes does for a promo. Because everything that he has done since he returned to the WWE at WrestleMania has been stellar mic work. I love the exchange between him and Miz on Miz TV when Cody Rhodes would say, I'm a wrestler, sports entertainer, belt, title. Because that really showed the two different dichotomies of wrestler and sports entertainer. You've Cody Rhodes, the wrestler, Miz, the sports entertainer. I didn't even think about this one until just now. I think a lot of Vince's boys are, something's going to happen to them, and not a good thing either. Miz, he's got enough leverage and enough seniority there. I think he'll be safe, but Austin Theory, or just Theory, I guess now. Theory? Still want to call him Austin Theory. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be kind of weary if I were him. I think he's going to lose his Money in the Bank briefcase. So, another Vince boy, Brock Lesnar. Yeah, he's pretty safe. And if you heard the news that came out Friday after Vince's retirement, their lucky cooler heads prevailed in that situation, or else we would have had another Goldberg main event, and I don't want that. Like, I barely want a Lesnar main event, but Goldberg, That's another thing that needs to happen too with Vince McMahon stepping away. No more part-timers. Either get Roman on a full-time schedule or take the titles off of him. That's my only big thing right now. Either have Roman work more or take the titles off of him if he's not going to be showing up every episode, because he is the champion. He has both championships. He is the top guy. He should be on every single show, and he's not, which is a shame. It's the same complaint I had about Goldberg. It's the same complaint I had about Brock Lesnar. It's the same complaint I have about Roman Reigns. Get a champion who's there full time. You have such a wide variety of superstars that could do that. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, they're there every week busting their asses. For what? For a champion who's only there part-time? I loved Roman. Like, from the very first time he came out as part of the Shield. But I do not like this work when I want to, Roman. Show up, work, bust your ass, and pay your dues. That's how I've been, since I have been doing things with BW, MPW, PPW. That is the thing that has been instilled with me. Show up, do the work, bust your ass, earn respect. You don't rest on your laurels at all. So, will there be changes in the WWE? Absolutely. Are they going to happen soon? No, they won't. But what do you think will happen now that Vince McMahon is retired? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really love to read your opinion. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. In the description, you can see a link to all of my social media and all the ways you can help support the channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit. You can help support the channel by checking out the Irish Bandit shop on redbubble.com. And today is the last day for pre-orders for my very first novel, Shade Falling. It goes on sale tomorrow, so be sure to order your copy today. Pre-order your copy today or order your copy tomorrow, whichever. Both are good. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a brand new video goes live. I will finally have my top 10 list of my 10 favorite characters from TV and movies, 10 through 6 on Thursday. Next Tuesday, I will be back with the very first installment of Retro Reimagined, looking at how I would cast a big budget Hollywood adaptation of one of my favorite animated series, Bionic 6. And then the following Thursday will be part 2 of my top 10 favorite characters from film and TV. So be sure to join me for that, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.